Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Before I start this video, I want to say that in Hamden, Connecticut, tonight, we are doing that intimate evening with Fantano live needle drop magic thing. If you still want to come, just come to the doors at 7 p.m., grab a ticket, and we'll do this thing. I will leave some information down in the description box about this. And, yeah, we'll take it. We will take it from there. Stepping out. Stepping back in. Hey, everybody. I read an article yesterday on FORBES.com, of all places. They were doing an article on what's going on with YouTube right now. Apparently, they are embarking on the creation of some kind of music streaming service based off of the platform that they've already got running already. And even though they don't advertise themselves as such, as many of you may already know if you've done your research, YouTube pretty much is already a music streaming service. They get more music stream hits, whatever you want to call them, than any of the legal music streaming services out there right now. From the last study I've read, if you combine all of the hits that sites like Groove Shark, Spotify, Rdio, so on and so forth, if you collect all the hits these sites get, YouTube dwarfs all their hits 10 times over. Then this is just music streaming. You know, this is just music streaming. And I don't know how this study was conducted, but these music streams, I'm guessing that they're just the legal ones, because as you and I know, there are plenty of songs and albums on YouTube right now that are incredibly obscure, and people are just streaming them, and they don't have like the artist's name attached to them or anything like that. It's just some music fan that happened to have the MP3 or the record, and they took the recording and threw it online. So YouTube is a massive music streaming service. People in droves go to the website every day just to listen to music. So now YouTube, realizing that, has decided that they're going to sort of pull together this music streaming service now, and in the process of doing that, they have drawn up a contract for labels and independent musicians that I understand is different than what someone like me would be offered. And this isn't like they're being offered more money or advantages or something like that. Not only is it different, but part of the issue, from what I understand, is that the independent musicians or the independent labels are not being offered the same sweet deal that these major labels are, of course. And what I think is going on here is, I mean, of course these contracts are not being formed because YouTube thinks that they're underpaying musicians, Google thinks that they're underpaying musicians, or anything like that. I think what might be going on is that YouTube and Google are realizing that people are just going on their site to listen to music, and in response to that, they realize, based upon the business model of other music streaming services, that they could potentially be paying musicians dirt rather than what they're paying them now. I think they might have realized that they're overpaying, and they could be getting away with paying them next to nothing. And which I think is incredibly unfair, because I don't think there should be some different going rate for musicians or people that just go onto YouTube to listen to music. I mean, if you want to hear a song, if you want to see a music video, you're sitting down, you're clicking the same kinds of links, you're watching the song, you're watching the music video through the same kind of portal that everybody else is, you're seeing the same kind of ads. The overall experience is the same, except you're only hearing audio versus just seeing somebody's video. And another thing that somebody brought to my attention is, how are we even going to distinctify between what is simply music and what is a video? Because the thing is, what if I came out with a song, but prior to it, I don't know, I put 3 minutes of me talking, or I did a spoken word piece, or I put a short film before the song, or something like that? What if I were to mix these mediums. You know, would my song get kicked off of YouTube? Would I have to make it under a certain contract, or I would have to put it on the streaming service just to comply with these rules, since people might be primarily just watching the video to hear the song? So, you know, there are some questions as to what the content could potentially be defined as, and on top of that, not only will some of these independent musicians be getting ripped off monetarily, but also in this article, which again I'm going to link you guys down there in the description, what this article also says is musicians who fail to comply or fail to hop on board with this contract might in fact be getting whatever content they have on YouTube now kicked off of YouTube. Which is actually incredibly depressing and saddening to kind of see this platform changing, because over the past several years, YouTube, because of the way the platform works, I mean, I know it gets a lot of complaints, and I hear a lot of them, and I understand a lot of them, but as far as music goes, music discovery, I think YouTube has been one of the sturdiest and more trustworthy platforms you can find out there, because, I mean, it tells you what's hot, it tells you what's getting a lot of hits, it tells you what is interesting to other people in a really organic way. Of course, you know, there are people out there who theorize that certain artists from certain labels are buying YouTube clicks, buying traffic, buying likes, so on and so forth, just to make their videos seem so hype. And that may in fact be the case with some people, but a lot of the time I don't think it is the case. And I mean, some of the hottest artists of the past several years have been broken by the YouTube platform. A$AP Rocky, Tyler the Creator, Danny Brown, freaking Death Grips, freaking who else? I mean, Justin Bieber got hot off of YouTube. I'm trying to think of who else. A$AP Rocky, Danny Brown, Tyler the Creator, yeah. Look, there have been a lot of artists off of YouTube who literally went from nothing, and from simply just putting a song onto the platform, they turned into overnight sensations. And I think YouTube has to sort of tread lightly when sort of changing the way that works, because that's potentially a model that's going to bring them traffic into the future. You know, the virality of the music video, of just having the ability to put whatever content up you want onto the platform creates a certain unpredictability that could potentially create a paradigm shift in taste and musical trends and so on and so forth. If YouTube gets rid of that, all we would have left right now is like blogs and stuff, and music magazines and music websites for taste making, which is completely fine. I work in that industry myself, and I completely respect all of my music review writing brethren who do the same thing. But I feel like, as far as the internet goes, YouTube is one of the best platforms we have in terms of just stumbling upon something, you know? I mean, if I look up some random ass noise rock band, I'm just gonna find maybe several dozen songs from any number of records they've ever put out just thrown in front of my face, and if I click on any of those songs, I'll have many other songs recommended to me from the same band, and potentially other bands as well. It's about as close as the internet gets to just freaking flipping through a whole catalog of records and just deciding randomly which record you'd like to put on. So I think if YouTube goes forward and pulls together a platform like Spotify, where you have algorithms and you have this interface that pulls together these really bland, unimaginative, totally unchallenging recommendations, then, I mean, you know, not only are people going to stumble upon interesting things less, more likely, but I think people might be less I think, inclined to use it because the excitement, the surprise, the unexpected, I guess, sort of the chance element isn't going to be as strong. So, I mean, that's just me theorizing on the whole thing in terms of how people might not end up liking it. Who knows? They might pull together a good interface, but still, at the end of the day, I'm sort of worried about whether or not these independent artists are going to get ripped off. You know, because I think if you make a video that's just simply a song and it gets 1 million views, even though people aren't viewing it as much as they are listening to it, but if it gets 1 million views, I think that video deserves the same million that a YouTube video creator deserves, or an artist deserves who's on a major label. It makes sense. It's the same portal, it's the same experience, people are interacting with it in the same way. Don't make YouTube like the radio was in the 80s and 90s. Don't turn it into this thing where it's hard for artists to break into. Currently, right now, we're suffering from kind of an oversaturation situation where, yeah, sure, you have tons and tons and tons of mediocre stuff just going through the floodgates, but shrinking the floodgates down doesn't eliminate the mediocrity, because you still have the issue of wanting to compete for the lowest common denominator and gather as much eyes and ears as possible by creating music that appeals to as many people as it possibly can, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with music like that, but it's great to have alternatives. It's great to have artists who don't necessarily fit that bill. And I'm just sort of afraid of what's going to happen to those artists when this music streaming platform or this contract or whatever goes through, and it could potentially be harder for a lot of these people to be making a living, harder than it is already. You know, to me, up until this point, whenever a certain artist has asked me about getting their music out there, YouTube to me has always been a recommendation. Put your stuff on YouTube. Billions of people are on YouTube all the time. If you want your stuff to be discovered, then that's a good place to start. And if this thing goes through and it's very clear once it's all erected and functioning that it's not benefiting artists, I can't see myself making that recommendation anymore into the future. All right, let me know what you think. Forever.